Alright, so why don't you take a second and look at this problem, and then after you have given an attempt, you can continue the video and we will work on it together. Alright, so here it says for all integers x, the function f is defined as follows. F of x is equal to x minus 1 if x is even, and f of x is equal to x plus 1 if x is odd. And then it tells you that a and b are integers, and f of a plus f of b is equal to a plus b. Which of the following statements must be true? Alright, so let's look at this statement right here in relation to the statement above, this one right here. If we apply f of a to this f of x thing, f of a is either going to be x minus 1 or x plus 1. We don't really know. F of b, sorry, let's call this a minus 1 or a plus 1. F of b is going to be equal to either b minus 1 or b plus 1. Alright, so that's what we know. And now we know that f of a plus f of b is going to be equal to a plus b. Alright, now the only way that f of a plus f of b can be equal to a plus b, when the moment you have a entered into the function, it changes to not a, and the moment you have b entered into the function, it changes to something that's not b. It's either minus 1 or plus 1. It has to be where a and b are right next to each other. A and b are right next to each other in a list, so it could be 2 or 3, it could be 3 or 4. I'm not really sure what it is, but this is something that has to be the case, right? Because then a plus 1 would equal b, and b minus 1 would equal a, if a is odd, right? And if b is even, or the other way around. If b is even, then b plus 1 would equal a, and a minus 1 would equal b. Alright, so these are kind of the two situations that we're working with. But now that we know that one of them is going to be even, and the other is going to be odd. And now we can answer some questions over here. Is a going to be equal to b? Definitely not. They have to be right next to each other, and they are not equal to each other, so a is out. Is a equal to negative b? Again, certainly not. They have to be right next to each other, so definitely not going to happen. You could have 0, negative 1, or 0, 1. Like, potentially you could have something like negative 1 and 1, but that even won't work because there's a 0 in between. So that will not work. Does a plus b odd? Now let's think about that. An even plus an odd, what is it? And whenever you want to think to yourself, an even plus an odd, like as a generic term, or an odd plus an odd, or an even plus an even, just use an example, and that will tell you what will happen in every single case for these type of things. So an even, let's take 6, and an odd, let's take 7. 6 plus 7 is equal to 13. Is 13 even or odd? 13 is odd. Therefore, an even plus an odd is going to be odd. This works. A plus b makes sense. Alright, both a and b are even, and both a and b are odd. Both of these are already out, and the reason we know that is because a and b have to be right next to each other. Alright, so one of them has to be even and one of them has to be odd. Alright, so we know that both a and b are out. Oh, sorry, d and e are out. So we know the only answer is going to be C.